Now, coming up next, we're going to be talking about the broken chain. And we know that soya bean and maize is in short supply across the country. These are key components for poultry feed. Now, how has this affected those in that sector, those in that industry? We'll be telling you more about that as we host some guests on this topic right after the break.
Our government in 2017 introduced its flagship agriculture industrialization program, Planting for Food and Jobs, meant to enhance production.
With good farming policies and incentives, Ghana would end the disgraceful spectacle of importing foodstuffs from neighboring countries. To the millions of farmers in farming communities and villages in all parts of Ghana, I'm happy to inform you that planting for food and jobs is the basis of the answer to this twin problem with which you have been confronted in recent years.
Soya bean was one of them. Government, through the Planting for Food and Jobs, has increased the production levels of soya bean in the growing areas. But the impact on the local market cannot be seen. Here at the Abuabu market in Tamale, we meet Alhaji Abdul Karim, a soya bean aggregator and supplier for 15 years. Before now, he supplied 400 bags of soya bean every week to his buyers. But in the past few months, he struggles to get that. He had received only 2 bags from traders, though it was the market day today.
By 2 months in me load 100 kilos bags no buy 400 bags for full calculator. And never 2 months me load more. Yesterday is Bushago market. Bushago Juano na me 200 bags. A cargo soon be 100 and that's 150. And the same week no nyina bet my loading. But and Bushago market no 2 bags money here. Time by the bet man ya had do 400 bucks. Na me my company. But any forwardness no ent me compare.
So we moved to Yendi to meet other aggregators of the commodity. This area of the market is where shops of soya bean traders and suppliers are located. At this time of the day, the market should be busy. But today, these shops are locked. The traders can afford to play some games because market is slow. Meet Mohammed Seidu. He has been dealing in soya bean for close to 10 years now. He opens his almost empty shop with only 10 bags of 100 kilos of soya bean that can hold 300 bags. Whilst in the market, we witnessed one of Seidu's suppliers bring him just a bowl of soya bean, which seems to have become the trend.
This woman used to sell at least 10 bags for us every week. Now she came with only 2 bowls. That is what she got in the market.
He says the foreigners, especially of Indians, have taken over the market.
At first, you could have a week, you could have loaded at least more than 500 bags or 1,000 bags a week. But now they are to get even 300 to supply to your people is difficult.
Seidu is worried the situation is impacting negatively on their businesses.
So this is April. Something that we supposed to get shortage of service, something like September going. So that maybe October the new one will start coming. So look at this thing. So also from May, June, July, August, I think there will not be soybeans.
So we can process 100 tons of soya beans a day, and the refinery can do 20 tons a day. So we process 100 tons and we refine 20 tons of oil a day if we have the raw material. Since we started, for lack of raw material, the highest we've been able to do is 70 tons a day. It's not that the efficiency is not good or the capacity we cannot meet, but just that we don't have enough raw materials. Very unfortunately, our market has been open to foreigners to do anything that they want. They go to the farm gate to buy directly from the farmers. So we are actually short of supply to even run the operations. The season begins in October, and we are in March, and there's no soya bean in the system. So October again. So you can imagine how the situation is affecting us. Coupled with the fact that there's nowhere people could go and then go into the Ghanaian can't go into India and go to the farms and start buying. You have to deal with the institutions. Ghana, we have commodity exchange. Why are they not buying from the commodity exchange, like regulated market? Or maybe buy from the aggregators in the markets. But they go to the farm gate directly to buy from the farms. And if you go to the market today and the price is 100 Ghana cedis, you offer 100 Ghana cedis, the next day you go, these guys are giving them 120. So they keep pushing the price up. It's greatly affecting our business. Some of our colleagues have shut down already. And looking at the situation, I may shut down next week. We don't have anything to work with.
And currently, as I'm speaking to you, about 80% to 90% of all the processors have shut down. All of them. Because I know Ghana Nut is not working currently. It's not producing or processing soya. Vesta oil, which I believe is not also processing. Dragon, the same. We have Quality Farm, which is also not processing, just because there's no raw material. If you tell them the price and also sit down and do their computations, there's no way they can also make a margin. So the best is to shut down.
And so that was the documentary latest put together by Prince Appiah. Let's get on to our guests and find out what exactly is happening down there. Victor Opong-Asamoah is chairman of the Poultry Farmers. He joins the conversation. Mr. Opong-Asamoah, a very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining the conversation. All right. We also have Thomas Bello, President, Ghana Soya Bean Association, joining the conversation. And we have Bagbara Tanko, who is PRO for the Agric Ministry. Let's just get into that. Do we have Mr. Tanko here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So let me just start the conversation with you in terms of situating the problem we have. What is it? Does it have to do with a production problem when it comes to soya bean and maize? Because we've been hearing certain figures emanating from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Where lies the problem? Is it in the production area, or is it in the regularization or the regulation, like some are saying? That with soya bean, for example, they are saying that it is there, but the foreigners have taken over the market, therefore cramping out the local buyers. Where lies the problem?
Thank you for this opportunity. I think the soya bean issue is a mix of factors. And as a result, we are all facing this issue. Thankfully, most of your guests are members of a regulation implementation committee that was set up by the Ministry of Food and Agri and the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Now, with production, Ghana is doing all it can to step up production. Let's take from 2016. We used to record about 1.7 metric tons per hectare of soya. And as we speak, we have increased production to 3.0 metric ton per hectare. Of course, this is an improvement over the years. We also have to recall that back then, just about 15% of our farmers use improved seeds. As we speak, the situation has improved. And we have high-yielding varieties that the farmers use. And per acre, they are able to increase the yield to the 3.0 metric tons production. Now, the issue has to do with who are the players in this sector. The value chain in terms of soya production, the farmers, the processors, the aggregators, and all that value chain actors. The biggest challenge is we have foreigners in our country, particularly the Indians, who go to the farm gates, offer the so-called juicy prices, and therefore our farmers give this product to them at the expense of our local value chain actors. Now they take these products, find a way of sending it out of the country. And that is why Parliament had to pass the Regulation 2020, LI 2432. And this committee was constituted basically to look at how we can either stop or minimize the export of these soya products. Because we are aware it is a basic ingredient for feed formulation. Close to 15 to 20% of soya is used in formulating the poultry feed. And therefore, if we are trying to increase production to meet our local demands, why should we allow this product, this scarce product, to be taken out of the country? Thankfully, the committee has gone into several meetings and they are working behind the scenes to ensure that we will no longer accept that attitude of coming in, picking whatever we have, and sending it out of the country.
Of course, that is owing to our own lapses. I know even as of last year, the Norwegian Development Agency was trying to intervene because the production of soya or the demand for soya was far outstripping supply. And yet we have a situation where foreigners, Indians and others, and I'm not singling them out, I'm just talking about those who, have access. They go right to the farms, as per the documentary that we've just aired, and purchase these products. This can't be done in other jurisdictions. Why are we allowing this to happen? In the meantime, our poultry industry that we are trying to revive is suffering a battering. Why is this happening?
Certainly, and that became necessary for the formation of that committee between Ministry of Trade and Ministry of Food and Agriculture. But we found out that, in fact, in last year, what we went through as an industry, especially the livestock and poultry industry, was so worrying. It nearly collapsed the sector. And this should not be allowed to continue to happen because the taxpayers' money is used to subsidize the seed. It's used to subsidize fertilizers for production, just because we want to increase production to meet our local demands. But we have a situation where patriotism is thrown to the wind, and we want to just fill our own pockets. The farmer, yes, we want to make money, and therefore whoever comes. In fact, your host will tell you that when they even go to the farm gates, the farmers prefer these foreigners because they think they offer bigger prices. But little do they know that they are doing a collective bad to the nation.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Tanko, on how we can stem the tide of this, because I believe regulation can be the solution. But let me go to Thomas Bello, who happens to be the president of the Ghana Soya Bean Association. What has been the real impact, real tangible impact of this shortage and the fact that you are being, pushed out of the market by foreigners? Do we have Thomas Bello with us? Hello, Mr. Bello. All right, I'll get back to Bello. Mr. Opong, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so Opong Asamoah is chairman of the Poultry Farmers Association. For you, like has been mentioned, soya bean constitutes a good percentage of the feed that you give poultry. What has been the impact? How accessible is soya bean, for example, and what has been the impact of its shortage as far as your activities are concerned?
Thank you very much. Let me correct. The name is Opong J and not Opong Asamoah.
Thank you for the correction, sir.
Right. Thank you very much. I would say that poultry is all about the feed, and when we talk of feed, it's all about maize, soya, and wheat bran and other small items that we add. But soya is very fundamental when you are preparing feed, because that is the source of protein for the bird. We use about 50 to 25% of soya in preparing feed. So in the event that we are not getting soya, it makes it very difficult for you to prepare any feed. It means that when there is no soya, there is no poultry, because you cannot do poultry without soya. So it's very basic that soya is important in the growth of poultry industry in the country. So when soya is running out of the system, it means the poultry is collapsing. Now, as we speak now, most farms are collapsed, and people have also reduced their stock. There's a farmer around Doma who was having 300,000 birds. Now, he has only 50 birds, and even that feeding them is a problem. So we need to understand the poultry industry as to what goes in for its developmental growth. And if we don't give much attention to it, it will mean that in the next couple of months, we will not have a single poultry farmer in the country.
Are you suggesting that on the back of the inaccessibility of soya bean, in other words, your farms, your industry is collapsing, and like you're saying, in the next few months we could see your poultry farms going out of existence, so to speak? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's not only the soya. It's the soya. Now that we are focusing on the soya, I think I have to limit myself, because if there's no soya, you cannot do feed for the bird, and if there's no feed, there's no poultry. So we need to address this issue critically and make sure that we revive the poultry industry, because it's collapsing all over. What is you see that the empty, no birds in the pen, and this is dangerous and very serious for the country. Okay,
before I move on to Thomas Bello, I just want to find out from you again, Mr. Opoku-Agyei. Now, I heard initially, I was speaking to Bagbara Tanko, PRO for the Agric Ministry, right? And I put the question to him that we can regulate how foreigners, have access to soya farms so that there is some sort of balance. In other jurisdictions, there are control mechanisms. What would you like to see in that regard?
Well, what I would like to see is that we need to have data for the poultry industry and know the volume that we release per annum. And the surplus, we can allow the foreigners to take them. Because, as we rightly say, prices of food and jobs is being subsidized by the government. And I tell you, 975 million Ghana cedis have already gone into the prices of food and jobs. And how do we subsidize for foreigners? It's the local people who need to benefit from this prices of food and jobs. So, we are regulating. We ensure that we have enough for the industry before we allow foreigners to take the surplus. Otherwise, we will say that we are regulating, but in the end, they still buy the soya, and we will not get some to feed our base.
Hold for me, Mr. Opoku-Agyei. Let me get to Thomas Bello. Thomas, can you hear me now? Mr. Bello, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Is that Mr. Bello? Thomas Bello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm struggling to hear you, but at least I can get something from you. So I'd like to find out from you, as president of the Ghana Soya Bean Association, what exactly is the constraint you are facing now? Because I've been,
you. Hello.
Mr. Bello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Just hold for me and get the question. Since for some years now, we've had problems with our soya production. I was just talking about last year and a Norwegian initiative because soya demand is outstripping supply. How is it affecting you in the association? And what do you want to see done?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead. Mr. Bello, can you hear me? If you got the question, just go ahead.
I can hear you on the television. Hello?
I can hear you, Mr. Bello. Just go ahead. If you got the question, just go ahead with the response. All right. Let me come back to you, Bagbara Tanko. You are PRO for the Agric Ministry. So on the back of these that have been shared, I will go back to the question about regulation, because no foreigner can go to just any country and do whatever you please. When you go to other sectors, I mean, even if you go into Nigeria, you cannot just go there and acquire land and start farming. And of course, that is not what they're doing. But in this instance, you cannot just go to the gatekeepers and then, do whatever you feel. There is some, process that you must follow. In this instance, we have foreigners coming through and pushing out our own people. And like has been mentioned, take stock of the fact that we are hearing from these bird rearers, the poultry farmers, and they are saying that they are being crowded out, and very soon there will not be poultry farms in Ghana. How do you react to that?
Well, that is very worrying. And like I said, thankfully, your guests they are members of this committee that came into force since the 22nd of December, 2020. And therefore, the nation is looking up to that committee to be able to regulate the movement of soya bean. They are supposed to put in place measures that will ensure that we increase production and also advise us and when the time we have more than enough and we can export.
Right. So you're speaking of this committee. I just want to find out from the Agric Ministry, for example, what measures have you contemplated that could help resolve the situation from because that is your sector. What have you been contemplating as a ministry?
Yeah. So the duty of the ministry is actually to increase production, and that has been the journey we've embarked on since 2017 to date through the Planting for Food and Jobs, and that's why soya was considered. Now, the issue has to do with using improved seed and be able to get as many farmers to cultivate soya. The process of cultivating soya is so tedious and requires mechanization. As a result, the ministry, through the Engineering Services Directorate, has procured handheld machines, threshers, reapers, and all that. So that because when you produce, at the end of the day, if you are not able to harvest it properly, it will all shatter. And then all your efforts will amount to nothing. So that is an aspect the ministry is looking at, mechanization. Some machines have been brought in through an Indian facility. We are also looking at improving extension service delivery. Gone are the days that we used to have just one extension officer is to 1,900 farmers. The gap has been closed. We now have one extension officer to the rate of about 600. The standard rate should have been 1:500 farmers. So with all this being put in place, we are certain that we are going to increase production.
All right. Very quick one. Mr. Tanko, we don't have the time, unfortunately. Just a very quick one. Yesterday, I was interacting with Suleiman Abrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. He mentions that you've been churning out a lot of false information, in fact, misinformation, when it comes to our production levels, soya bean, maize, among others. Why is that?
Yes, I have taken a bite of what he said, and I strongly disagree with what he said, because the Honorable Minister will not just speak in a vacuum. He has a statistics and research directorate.
Those statistics are not corroborated by the facts from the World Bank, from our own Ghana Statistical Service in the past. So which statistics are you pointing to?
Well, I'm indicating that the minister speaks from the statistics from the ministry. He doesn't speak in a vacuum. Before he says anything, he makes sure the figures given to him is from the right source, and that is why he speaks to. For that issue, we are here to look at it and maybe contact him, get details of what he says we are not consistent with the figures, and maybe respond to it appropriately. All right. So I should say the minister has always spoken with figures, and they are from the right source.
Hopefully we'll get a response from the Agric Ministry. Mr. Bello, if you can hear me now, what is the core challenge that you are facing in respect of soya bean production? How is it impacting your association? What do you want to see as a remedial measure? Very quickly, sir. It appears we're simply not going to be able to interact with Mr. Bello. But I'd like to say a very big thank you to Victor Opong Ajay, Chairman, Poultry Farmers Association. Mr. Opong Ajay, a very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. We also have PRO of the Agric Ministry, Mr. Bagbara Tanko, who joined us. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. Okay. So right before we wrap, let me just say one more time, a very happy birthday to John Kwabena Ajay. You turned 73 today. It's from your daughter, Danisia Poma Ajay, who is here with us. Happy 73rd birthday to you. But before we go, you know water is life. Water regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water. treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for every occasion, 330 ml and 500 ml to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We have also introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes. Now, you just need to stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. So come on, grab a bottle of Awake Water and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Remember, every bottle you purchase, for everyone, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It is produced by Casa Preco. For bulk purchases, call 0262 351 251. 0262 351 251. Did you know that the income of a young entrepreneur from some selected businesses is exempt from tax for 5 years? Any young entrepreneur engaged in manufacturing, information and communications technology, agro-processing, energy production, waste processing, tourism and the creative arts, horticulture and medicinal plants does not need to pay any income tax on these activities for their first 5 years of operation. A young entrepreneur engaged in business that enjoys an initial 5-year concession benefits from the following applicable tax rates. Accra and Tema 15%, other regional capitals outside the 3 northern regions 12.5%, outside the other regional capitals 10%, and for the 3 northern regions 5%. For further clarity and information, contact your nearest GRA office. Ghana Revenue Authority, integrity, fairness, and service. And on that note, we draw the curtains on the AM show for this beautiful Tuesday morning. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Look forward to our bulletins at 10 and at noon. And let's connect same time tomorrow.